been snowing again. Snow that means the fat plop, plop as it is shovelled off the roof and falls onto the courtyard below. Snow that means the melancholic halloo by which the sheep are called and brings them bounding from every corner of the park, while I hide remote and luminous under the skeletons of oak trees. It means these things in an intimate way, like the ticking of a clock in one's own room means something and is part of one. Now, as I sit here to try and write another book that just won't come, there is only slush. And after 11 months of pandemic solitude, I'm no longer a person, but a rag heap for people to pick over, a straw whirling down a drain. And I find life altogether too intoxicating in its isolation. I decide, instead of writing, to drive somewhere, to go for a walk. And I take a road that turns out not to be a road at all. It began as a road, but then abruptly melts away, leaving me rolling over the South Downs, where I thoroughly startle an old man with a moustache like a walrus and a puppy with eyes like a seal as it buries itself in the snow and watches as my giant blue ship of a car lurches by. The steering on the car gives up as I pass round the back of the old fishermen's cottages. A row of little red brick buildings with scrambling roofs that look like a set of mismatched teeth under the blinding white eye of the winter sun. I sit for a minute, turn the engine on and off, as the mechanic in the garage told me to do when this happens. But the mud has sucked the wheels in too tight, and all but a grinding, squelching, jarring noise is heard. From the garden of one of the cottages, a woman waves a hand at me. Through the snow, I can feel the damp coming through in one of my Wellington boots as I walk towards her. Car stopped? She asks when I'm close enough to hear. I can walk back from here, get someone to pick it up later. On the wall in front of her, there are 3 homemade fat balls for the birds tied up with twine. And on the mulberry tree above her, she's filled the branches with them. Do you fancy a cup of tea? She asks, then pauses, hesitates. It's just me here, she says. Her hair, which would have been white, is coloured a sort of fading henna orange. And her eyes are the colour of a cloudless blue sky. Social distance, cuppa, she adds. And I can feel her isolation, just as I did my own when I woke this morning to find everything was white and the hedges looked as if they'd grown old in the night. Okay, I said then. Yes, please. She smiles a smile that looks both full of happiness and relief. Okay, I'll just... And she gestures to the house and then stops. The gate's just there, she says. Oh, thank you. I watch her as she retreats. Then edge my way through the gate, just enough to slip in through the snow. And go through and sit by the wall where the tree has shielded it from the snow. Eventually she comes out. The steam from the tea rising and billowing in white ribbons that follow her as she sets the mug down 6 feet from me and sits on the other side of the tree. It's funny, she says, her cheeks flushed with the suddenness of having an unexpected visitor. You don't realise how easy it is to forget the sound of your own voice, she says. But between the clouds, the sun gives the hedges and the trees and the fields not the blank cage look of a winter gone on too long, but a world that glistens and is still, like Sleeping Beauty's park